Puzzle pieces on the floor, they don't fit in anymore. I'm changing, I'm changing. When they ask you who I am, what I've done and where I've been, there's one thing I want you to say. Tell 'em I'm brave, see it on my face. I am bigger than anything coming my way. It's a new day, now I'm not afraid. So if anyone asks you how I overcame, you can tell 'em I'm brave.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Jennifer Marshall, co-founder and executive director of This Is My Brave, and I am so happy you're here with us for This Is My Brave 2020 Stories from Home. First and foremost, we must thank our 2020 national sponsors because without their support, this event wouldn't have been possible. So thank you to Alkermes, Allergan, Janssen, Greenbrook TMS, Synovian, and MeUndies. We are so thankful for your support. According to a study by the Kaiser Family Foundation, mental health issues have increased greatly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Average weekly data from June 2020 found that 36.5%, over a third of adults in the U.S., are dealing with significant anxiety and major depression, up from 11% in 2019. Now, more than ever, we need to be talking about mental health. We need to be listening and looking out for our friends and family members. We can get through this together. Our hope at This Is My Brave is that by hearing our stories, you'll be inspired in knowing that recovery is possible. These brave individuals you're about to meet have been patiently waiting for their turn at the microphone since the spring. They were supposed to have been on stages across the U.S. sharing their stories, but the COVID-19 pandemic had other plans. It's finally their turn to bring their stories of hope and recovery into your living room, because we know that by sharing our stories, we have the power to encourage those still struggling to know that it gets better. Don't give up. There is help out there. By opening up the conversation about mental health through storytelling, we're breaking down those unfair societal pressures that tell us perfection is the goal. That's a lie, because it's okay to not be okay sometimes. By sharing our stories, we normalize the fact that our brains get sick too sometimes, and we need to be there for each other and have these real, honest conversations about how we're doing. If I've learned one thing in the past 7 years of doing this work, it's that when one person shares their story, it gives others the permission to do the same. I like to call it brave multiplying brave, which is why I'm so grateful that you're here with us today. This Is My Brave's vision is to get to a place where one day we no longer have to call it brave for talking openly about mental health conditions. We will simply call it talking. So let's get started. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage the producer of today's show, This Is My Brave 2020 Hampton Roads, Lauren Hope.
Hello and welcome to the This Is My Brave Stories from Home show. My name is Lauren Hope. I am the producer for the Hampton Roads show. I want to thank you so much for joining us to watch our storytellers from Hampton Roads share their stories of living with mental illness and or substance use disorder. They're doing this to shine a light on these issues and end the stigma. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our event sponsors, the Centera Health Foundation and the Chaz Foundation. We also have so many local advertisers to thank for supporting our show. Without you, this would not be possible. This Is My Brave is a social organization, so throughout this show, we want you to engage with us online. Tag us in a social media post on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and share the link to this live stream here on YouTube. Also, comment along with us. Let us know what you think about the show. Shout out our storytellers. They certainly worked hard. Tag us at This Is My Brave and use our hashtag Storytelling Saves Lives. Now, I want to share a little bit how I got involved in This Is My Brave. A couple of years ago, I had a little blog called Good Girl Chronicles, and I wanted to share my story of surviving suicide and living with a mental illness. And someone said, "Have you ever heard of This Is My Brave?" I said, "No, what is that?" There are people getting on stage and sharing their stories of living with mental illness. That empowered me to keep sharing my story, and I am so thankful that I was able to be part of the This Is My Brave show in Arlington 2018. I felt how amazing and empowering it felt to tell my story on stage, and I had to bring it here to Hampton Roads. Because of COVID, our show looks a little bit different, but you're still going to get the same power, the same influence, the same impact. We're about to take you on a journey in this show. You will laugh, you will cry, you will be enlightened, inspired. And our hope is that you will leave with new ideas about mental illness and substance use disorder, thanks to the bravery of our cast members, because this is the reality. 1 in 5 Americans live with a diagnosable mental health condition. But because we don't talk about mental illness, Often, people suffer in silence. That changes today, right here, right now, with you watching this show. We're shining a light on mental illness and addiction to show the world that people who live with these struggles, they're your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, members of your community, students at your high school. We hope through this storytelling, you'll better understand of what it's like to live with a mental illness and or substance use disorder. We hope you will find hope for yourself and offer it to someone in your life who may be living with it also. Enjoy the show.
Hello, my name is Leslie White, and I am a member of the patient engagement team at Alkermes. Alkermes is a fully integrated global biopharmaceutical company that applies its scientific expertise, proprietary technologies, and global resources to the development of medicines in both neuroscience and oncology. And as part of our efforts to develop these new medicines, we seek input from people with lived experience in the disease states that we focus on. My colleagues and I are united in our purpose to pursue great science with deep compassion and to help address society's greatest health challenges, including serious mental illness, addiction, and cancer. And we strive to make a real impact for patients, their families, and the community. For more information about Alkermes, please visit www.alkermes.com. Thank you and enjoy the program.
This is my brave. Back in 2010, my doctor told me I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD. That's what he said. But all I heard was I was suffering from a STD. Yeah, go ahead and laugh because I did too. After I got over the embarrassment and realized what the doctor was really saying, I was okay. I didn't know what PTSD was, but I sure knew what a STD was. I didn't mind having PTSD because I really didn't know how that would affect me, but I knew how having an STD would affect me. Hi, my name is Vernard Hines, aka the Laugh Therapist. I'm a professional comedian and a motivational speaker. And as my pastor would say, I use the first part of this story to get you on the porch. Now let me take you in the house. I am a 20-year, 7-month, and 4-day retired Army Iraq War veteran. And yes, I battled with diagnosed PTSD. Do you know there are millions of people who battle with undiagnosed PTSD because of the stigma around seeking help? Seeking help saved my life because I was mad, angry, and some people would say I was mean. I felt like my body and my mind had abandoned me. The things I used to love to do, I had no desire to do them anymore. See, I felt like the people who knew me the most before I went to the war no longer understood me. I also felt like I was not the same person when I came back. And you know what? I wasn't. See, back in the day, I had an uncle who I now know had PTSD. Well, the family, we called him shell-shocked, crazy, and other derogatory names. So when I got diagnosed with PTSD, all I could think about was I was not going to be looked at like that. I was not going to be what? Labeled. It has been documented in the Black community that we don't seek help. We don't talk about what is wrong or bothering us. We just keep going with our lives, going with our lives, going with our lives till one day, bam, you hit that wall. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event or experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event. I had to put that in there because as a therapist, I have to let people know that I'm not licensed, I'm just medicated. I know. I'm not licensed, y'all. I'm just medicated. I used to think that PTSD robbed me of so much, but it was not PTSD. It was the stigma attached to it. But seeking help was the beginning of reclaiming my life back. Did I have thoughts of suicide? Yes, but I didn't want to be known as the person who allowed PTSD to control him, but as the person who controls his PTSD. It was very hard for me to say that I had a mental illness. That's why I had to be straight out of therapy. That helped me. That allowed me to look at this and say, I can beat this. Because as a black man, to me, it was seen as weakness. I can't speak for other people, but as for me, I was taught to be strong and push through anything. Don't show no sign of weakness. And that carried over into every area of my life. So talking to a therapist made me peel back some layers of my life that I was not ready for. Because childhood trauma and trauma itself is real. I don't ever want PTSD to be looked at as just a military disorder. And yes, it has been brought to the forefront because of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, but it's not just a military disorder. There are millions of people who battle with undiagnosed PTSD because of the stigma of being labeled by either their family, friends, or co-workers. Why did I decide to call myself the Laugh Therapist? Well, it was a memory I have of my second tour in Iraq that showed me humor could be used as a part of my therapy. When I returned home, I sought therapy for PTSD. Straight out of therapy. And I often use humor to talk with my friends about it. The jokes seemed to give me relief and seemed to be a ray of hope for others. It was then that I realized my pain could be turned into a purpose. I have found my purpose in life when I felt I had none. Do I still battle with PTSD and depression? Yes, but I know how to channel it to where I win. My goal is to break this stigma of mental health, one joke and one message at a time. PTSD, not STD. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or as I like to call it, processing traumatic situations differently, because we all process trauma in a different way. I process mine through humor and therapy. How do you process yours? My name is Vernard Hines, the Laugh Therapist. This is my brave. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashli Timmons, and today I'll be talking about my battles with depression and anxiety in the form of an essay. All my life, I was that kid who was always happy, smiling, running around, helping others, being there for others. Nobody ever suspected that I, of all people, was battling suicidal thoughts and depression on a daily basis. The feelings had been going on for as long as I could remember. It was almost as if I was trapped in this box. A box that allowed me to see out into the world, but not let me escape. So I could see all of these happy, joyful people around me, but I couldn't feel it myself. I was stuck with my own thoughts in my own head, just telling me I'm never going to deserve this happiness, and it got to be too much. So October 23rd of 2018, it was my senior year of high school. I could not tell you what made that day so different, but it was the day that I did admit I needed help to my parents. So for months before that day, it was like I was an empty shell of a person going through the motions. I lived in this constant state of helplessness, worthlessness, and numbness. I felt as if life was not worth living. I wanted everything to stop, to end even. And while in the back of my mind, I knew that I had things to live for. I knew that things were going to get better, but my current state just drowned out all hope of that. So we were sitting at the dinner table, and my parents asked me if anything's wrong, because they could pick up on me feeling off. And me not knowing how to tell the parents that gave me life that I no longer wanted to live, just replied with, "I'm fine." This time, thankfully, they didn't buy that. Instead, they shared some of their own feelings with helplessness, suicidal thoughts, and all of that. And I just can still see myself sitting at that table, dropping my head and tears rolling down my cheeks, because every single thing they said was exactly how I felt. For the first time, I admitted to my parents in my own words that I needed help and I had been having thoughts of wanting to die. We called countless psychiatrists and therapists and doctors, but none of them had openings for months. The next day, October 24th, I was being rushed to the emergency room by my mom because I didn't know how much longer I could live with those thoughts. I was so tired of feeling sad, tired of pretending I was okay, tired of living. I went through a lot of psychological evaluations that day, each time being forced to repeat over and over again why I was there. And each time it was harder than the last, because saying it made it real. Before, only I knew what was going on in my head, but now it felt as if the whole world knew. I was there for 7 hours before they finally decided that being put into a mental health institution was my best option. But since I had no prior attempts, I didn't self-harm, most institutions did not consider me priorities, so most were close to capacity, so I wasn't able to be admitted. But after a week or so of calling around, we finally found a partial hospitalization program for me to go to. This ran from Monday through Friday from like 8 to 3, so it was basically a replacement for school. It was the beginning of my senior year of high school, and I spent my days at a mental hospital. I didn't know what to think about it at first. It was very intimidating, daunting, because going to a mental hospital and the stigma around them made me feel so ashamed to go, but I really shouldn't. But anyways, the first few weeks I just kept to myself, didn't really talk to anyone else, didn't participate in groups, didn't open up to my therapist, I wasn't receptive. I still went home every day feeling the same as I did before. I did get put on medication to help dull my suicidal thoughts, which did help, but the feelings didn't change. I was still numb, I still felt hopeless, I still felt worthless. So a whole month into this, it was now November. I still felt hopeless, I still felt tired, I felt irreparable, I felt like my life was unfixable. I felt numb, like I could not remember the last time I truly felt an emotion. And everything just seemed so gloomy in my eyes, like nothing was ever gonna get better. It was unbearable. I couldn't keep going this way, so I needed an escape. I began to self-harm, and while in the back of my mind I knew it was bad for me, I did it anyways, because I needed to feel something. That pain was better than the numbness. At least that's what I told myself. Then I realized that me inflicting this pain onto myself also affected my family and my friends. And that was not what I wanted to happen. I wanted to feel the pain. I did not want them to feel the pain. I felt bad, but for some reason I couldn't stop. The pain I felt when I self-harmed, in a weird way, felt good. It was almost addicting. But I knew I had to stop if I ever wanted to come out of this dark place. And one day, a switch flipped in my head. It was like magic. December 5th, that was the day I decided that I was no longer going to inflict pain onto myself, and I need to start fighting for my life instead of just trying to survive through it. This was 2 months into this program. I finally went there with an open mind. I finally went wanting to learn, wanting to help myself, because I realized that the reason it wasn't working wasn't because the therapy or the medication wasn't working. It was because I wasn't open. I wasn't perceptive to this help that was given to me. So with my new mindset, I began participating in groups. I began absorbing this information that was being given to me. I shared, I opened up to everybody. I noticed changes myself. I felt so much lighter, as if I had been free. Just being able to talk about this and being able to receive help made me feel so much lighter. And once I started actively having this mindset, I wasn't numb anymore. I felt things. Even though I still felt sad, I still felt depressed, there were days where I felt happy, and I knew when to speak up when I was struggling. So it took about 3 or 4 months, and after the new year, I was finally transitioning back into school because I noticed that it's not easy, but if you are determined to get out of something, you have all the power to do it. So I took that and I went to school, and my friends and family noticed this change in my demeanor. They was like, "You're back to your old self." But I don't like to use that term. I like to think of myself as somebody who's been reborn, because sometimes you have to fall in order to rise, and that was true for me. So I like to think of myself as somebody who has reimagined themselves, reconfigured themselves. Like, I am not embracing my mental illness. I am not hiding from it. I'm not running from it. It is not pleasant, but it is who I am, and I've grown so much stronger from it, and I would not change that for the world. I'm Ashli Timmons, and this is my brave.
Hey there, my name is Sean Wellington. I'm from New York. I'm living in North Carolina, and I appreciate you hearing these stories and giving me a few minutes of your time. I do. It was a couple years after college, and I'm teaching in Tokyo, Japan. I've only been there for a few days, and I only speak a few words. Sumo, sushi, sayonara, it's absurd. And it becomes very clear very quickly that it is very hard to have a conversation with someone when you don't speak the same language. It is not the only thing I learned. One night I get a phone call, and I've learned that I have lost my best friend. He has taken his own life. And when I am back in the States, I get another phone call and learn that I've lost another friend to addiction. And then something weird happens. I get sick. And I see all kinds of doctors and nurses, and I have a lot of conversations. And look, I'm in the States, they're all in English, but I stay sick. And I start to ideate, and the ideation gets worse and worse. I don't want to die, but I cannot imagine living like this kind of pain. And I have more conversations for a little while with coworkers, with family, with friends. And some of them called me crazy. And I think they're right. And now what? It may be true that I'm crazy, but it's not really helpful. In fact, it's harmful, and I'd like to believe that's not what they want. I'd like to believe that's not what any of us want. But I did learn from all of them, every single one. I've learned that sometimes it's hard to have a conversation with someone, even when you're speaking the same language. And I have learned that those conversations matter. They really matter. And I've learned that when you see me only as crazy, well, there is not much to talk about. What I want, and what I think we all want, is for someone, for anyone, to hear us. So what if you did that instead of calling me crazy? What if instead of fixing, or minimizing, or denying, or pontificating, or cheerleading, or comparing, or diagnosing, what if you listened and let me talk? Because people are in pain. Who else is sick? Who else has lost someone? Who else is battling depression or anxiety or grief or loneliness or suicidal ideation or addiction? I mean, we're talking about pain. I feel like my brain is about to short circuit and my anxiety is through the roof. Well, you should take your meds. Why don't you go for a walk? No, what if instead, what do you mean? Tell me more. I've been in a lot of pain the last few days. Well, at least you have your health insurance. Just think positively. No, what if instead? Thank you for sharing that with me. What does that feel like? I'm feeling really depressed. But you're not depressed. I mean, you look okay. What if instead? That sounds really hard. Do you want to talk? Too many people, too often, including me, we kill conversations before they have a chance to really begin. And that is not wrong. but it is not helpful. And those conversations matter. I want to use, cut, I want to drink, I want to eat. Well, that's because you're not getting enough sleep. You're not listening to me. What if instead, okay, what's going on? I'll stay for a while. I failed my final exam. I don't know what to do. I know exactly how you feel. Look, sometimes we need to make lemonade out of lemons. What if instead, that really sucks? Feel like taking a walk? I want to die. I've learned that sometimes the greatest gift is silence. The last time I spoke with Jimmy before he took his life, I asked him to take a break from his life and come to Japan. The last time I spoke with Mike before he fatally overdosed, I gave him a kind of pep talk. And if I could go back, and I can't, but if I could, I would just change one thing. I would do whatever I could, as best I could, to hear what they were saying and what they really needed to say. Because who doesn't want that? Now, I left Japan more than 2 decades ago, and I keep learning, or I try. And I've learned that when people stop talking, in whatever language they speak, they start doing all kinds of other things, often dangerous things. And I've learned that most people talk to a friend before they talk to anyone else. And finally, I have learned that you are that friend. You're the friend. They call us crazy, depressed, anxious, angry, lonely, addicted, suicidal. And maybe they're right. Now what? Thank you for listening. Stay strong.
Hey, I'm Allison. I'm from the cast of Hampton Roads, This Is My Brave. I'm going to be sharing some of my poetry with y'all today. The poetry's from my recovery journey and substance abuse. And the first poem is something that I wrote when I was like trying to get through the night without using drugs, without a support system or anything. Scratch marks on the walls from dragging my nails, throat sore and dry from late night wails, blankets, pillows, and sheets all on the floor, sleepless nights and nightmares of scenes before, hanging on for dear life, literally holding myself down, extreme fear of letting go, this time I might drown. Close my eyes with the music up loud, searching, looking, where is my pink cloud? I have to find my stronger side. Why does that bitch always run and hide? I know I can do this, it's nothing new. It's the same old struggle I always get through. And the second one, throughout the process, I ended up having a very intimate relationship with someone who died from an overdose, and I wrote this about him. If I knew the last time was going to be the last time, I wouldn't have been so cold when I watched you go. I knew you were hesitant. You walked away so slow. I would have grabbed you and hugged you tight. I would have reassured you it wasn't over. We still had to fight. I would have stopped you and kissed you one more time. I would have cherished the warmth of your lips on mine. I would have laid my head on your chest, listened to your heartbeat before it went to rest. Lean back and look into your eyes and stare. Took off your hat and ran my fingers through your hair. Smelled you again, one last big whiff, because now I sit here with my tears and sniff. The last time was something I didn't know. With my words, I didn't let go. So you walked away on that hot summer day. In that tub, I just stayed there and lay. Fear of living is a struggle we both know. With the disease of addiction, we kill ourselves slow. Now I get up with surrender and pray, and you are gone forever. That was the last day. And then my last one is a little bit like a really brief synopsis of the journey from the darkness into the light and finding, a support group and a God of my understanding and, the relationships and tools for recovery. There's nothing that is really that bad anymore. I have a dark secret. I've been to hell before. I walk the streets with my demons. I've looked the devil in the eye. I found hell has no bottom. When you're here, the feelings fade. You don't even cry. The screams are silent. The hearts are all cold. Smiles are upside down. There's nothing but empty bodies walking around. One day I woke up and I wanted to go home. But Earth was scared and wouldn't have me, so I was alone. I couldn't blame them because even I could see. When I tried to come back, the demons still clung to me. I realized the hell I was in I carried inside. No matter what I did, there was no way to run and hide. I was stuck with desires I couldn't resist. I thought I was fighting a battle that didn't even exist. In that moment, the gates of hell opened for me. I finally opened to the world, something bigger, you see. I was in the dark, fighting myself in that fight. When I stopped fighting, that's when I could see the light. I would never wish on anyone the things I've been through, the things I've seen. Today I stand stronger, today I stand tall, because on God and others I lean. And not one thing is really that bad anymore. Because of God and all of you, I don't have to go back to hell anymore. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Kim Stumbo, and I'm a part of the This Is My Brave Hampton Roads 2020 show. Today, I'm going to share with you my piece called Smile, and it shares my story of living with depression, anxiety, and postpartum depression. I hope you enjoy it. Smile. Be happy. You are amazing. Smile. Don't let them see you struggle. Smile. That's what you do. Smile. Sometimes, behind those big smiles, lurks a 4-second overtake you. Keeps your head spinning, tells you things, so many things that you can't even think of just one thing. Anxiety. Smile. You're broken. You aren't good enough. Look how they look at you. They see it. They give you pity because that's what you deserve. But look, I can do this. I can do that. I will show them. I can do it. I'm not broken, though I am. Try harder. Be the best. You have to prove yourself. They just see broken, handicapped, limited, poor girl. She'll never really be equal. Do it all. Do everything that is asked of you. Do it. Be the leader. Don't follow. Show them you're equal by doing more. I can do it. No, I can't. I'm tired. You can't be tired. They will pity you. You don't want that, do you? Do they pity me? Yes, they do. See the stares? See all the extra help they give you? They don't think you can do anything. Show them. Do it all. Wife, mom, full-time job. Be the involved spouse. Go out of your way to prove yourself so that he doesn't look bad. Don't forget your kids. Be the room parent, PTA, be at every class party, make crafts, be that mom. Your kids don't deserve to suffer because of your disability. Depression. Smile. I'm so tired. I really can't move. Yeah, stay here in bed. It's safe. No one cares anyways. See how they leave you alone? They don't really need you. All that extra stuff you do? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just stay here with me. In the dark. Postpartum depression. Smile. What did I do to deserve this? Haven't I been through enough? Seriously, I don't know if I can do it. My baby, he didn't deserve this. I did this. I know they say it's nothing that I did, but obviously I did something for God to give me just one more thing. Shut up. It's too loud. Y'all go play quietly. Why are there crumbs on the floor? I just mopped. Be quiet. The baby is trying to sleep. Go watch TV. Go to your rooms. I can't think. Too many thoughts. But why did I do that? I shouldn't yell at them. They're just kids. They're my kids. I wanted them. But I can't think. Breakthrough. I need help. I can't feel like this forever. Please send me help. Universe, are you listening? Send me help. You are broken, beautifully so. Trials and triumphs, struggles and success. You don't see it, but they do. It's time to take your blindfold off. You've walked around long enough without clear vision. See yourself as you truly are, as you were meant to be. Imperfectly perfect. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to prove yourself. You can breathe. You can be you. You are amazing. Just as I told you on the first day I sent you to Earth. Smile. My name is Kim Stumbo, and this is My Brave.
I've had depression and anxiety ever since I was a kid. I tried a couple of antidepressants, but they caused a lot of side effects, and the benefits never really lasted. I was so frustrated by my lack of progress in talk therapy, things just never seemed to click. By 23, I'd already given up on the idea that I could be happy. I was slowed down, isolating, constantly irritable. Nothing ever got me excited. Most days, I was just waiting for the day to be over. Then I tried Greenbrook TMS therapy. By the second week of treatment, I wasn't constantly criticizing myself. My friends said I was more present, and I felt like it. For the first time in a long while, I wanted to do more than just sleep. I started thinking about ways to even add to my life. If medication and talk therapy haven't helped you feel as good as you want to feel, try TMS. I don't remember a time where I felt this good this long.
This next performance is by Katelyn Restin. Katelyn auditioned and was cast for our show in February. We came to know her as a gifted musician with the heart and voice of an angel. Sadly, Katelyn lost her life in April. It's very important to all of us in the Hampton Roads cast to include her in this show. And so what you're going to see is a tribute to Katelyn, as she is a cherished cast member to all of us. This next song is entitled How Great You Are. It was written and sung by Katelyn Restin.
I know you're scared. I've also been there. And I know your heart. It loves. And I know that you care. But it's just hard for you to share. But you don't have to worry, because you're loved. You're loved. I wish that you could see your beauty. I wish that you could see your heart. I wish that you could see your strength before you fall apart. Just wanna build you up, don't wanna break you down. Just wanna fill you up, don't wanna see you frown. Just wanna see you smile, just wanna hear you laugh. But I know it's gonna take a while for you to truly feel like that. But I just want you to see And I just want you to know how great you are, how great you are. And I just want you to love how great you are, how great you are.
Hi, my name is Mary Alice Evans, and I have a story to tell with Hampton Roads. This is my brave. I have been in the recovery movement when I was diagnosed with an illness known as manic depression in 1981. That was a long time ago. After 5 hospitalizations, I started the first manic depression support group in Richmond, Virginia, finding others that had symptoms just like mine. I became very hopeful. The word hope became my motto. Help yourself first. Overcome your barriers, prevent your pain, and educate yourself. I experienced the balancing of the highs and the lows of manic depression. The depression of loss of 2 babies at birth, 2 miscarriages, loss of marriage, loss of job, but most of all, loss of myself. To the manic highs, I directed traffic with no clothes on a country road. Thank God I don't think nobody saw me. And I was having the delusions of having a baby. I held on to that hope through bad times and good times. One of the things that was lacking when I was hospitalized was spirituality. It was then I went to a priest and asked him if I can do a non-denominational worship service on the psychiatric floor. He said, pray about it. He prayed about it, I prayed about it, and for 6 years I volunteered on the 6th floor of a local hospital. I had a desire to complete 6 years of higher education so that I can eventually help others with a mental illness. At 52 years old, I graduated from Loyola University LIMEX program. I believe it was the people along the way, the professionals, and the people that I met along the way that confirmed that I was on the right path. The Manic Depressive Support Group, now known as the Bipolar Support Group, was the first time I encountered equality. It was no longer them and us. It was me and them and us equaled equality. During my 4 years at the Loyola University, all my papers were on my illness, my recovering in the secular and the spiritual experience. For the past 19 years, I've been employed by Chesterfield Mental Health Support Services. I connected with staff just as they're equal and starting to eliminate the stigma of mental illness. As a pioneer in the recovery movement, in the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, known as WRAP, I joined peers as a certified peer recovery specialist. So here I am. Yes, here I am. I came here to serve and to be served by the mental health community. Hope continues to be my motto. It is my ticket to wellness. H is help yourself first, because if you don't help yourself first, you can't help anybody else. O was overcoming your own barriers. It was not until 2001, after 29 years of pain of not going to a baby shower, that I experienced my first baby shower. P is to prevent your mental illness by taking your medication, by keeping your psychiatric appointments, seeing your therapist, checking in with peers, and being yourself and accountable to yourself. E is educating yourself. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. My published book, Walking in Hope, Living in Grace, is a tapestry of my journey of disability to ability. I believe there is hope for everyone, and for everyone there is hope. God bless you and thank you. My name is Mary Alice Evans, and this is my brave.
My name's Ty Cardacci, and this is a piece entitled Slippery Slope. It was 2012, and I was arrested and charged with possession with intent to manufacture and distribute, and was facing 40 years. It was in Virginia, and they gave me first offender status. What I did not realize was if I so much as got a speeding ticket, I would have gotten the full charges. The stakes were high. As long as I wasn't, it was going to be all right. My first thought when I got arrested was, you can drink in rehab, right? No. I could not afford real rehab, so my rehab was binge watching Celebrity Relapse on Netflix under the covers, trying not to cry and peek at the over-romanticized drug porn in the opening sequence, like, oh, that could have been me, a D-list celebrity. I had some trust issues. Somebody that I sort of trusted was like, honey, you need to start going to meetings. And I'm like, no, nobody can see me there. I'm definitely not going to share. She's like, there is a full-page publicity picture of you in the newspaper talking about your broken little pipe and your underpants. There's no secrets anymore. I'm like, fuck no, nobody can know what everybody clearly knew. So the mask was off. This was pre-COVID, so not such a bad thing. I couldn't drive. I had to ask my mom for a ride to my first meeting. It was awkward, to say the least. Somebody could kind of sense the dis-ease that I was going through and try to break the ice, lighten the mood a little, and was like, man, before I got in recovery, I was a flaming asshole. But now I go to meetings, I got a sponsor, and I work the steps. Now I'm just an asshole. I was like, I think I forgot how to laugh. It felt so good, you know. I've learned to take my recovery seriously, but not take myself too seriously. I'm not saying comedy has saved my life, but in a lot of situations, it's helped save my sanity. I pick up my white poker chip for one day at the meeting, and I gotta say, I still haven't figured out, what do they give people in Gamblers Anonymous? Like, congratulations, here's a white Russian. I don't know. So I get a sponsor, and he's cool, man. He's like, now you don't have to quit everything at once. And I know he was talking about cigarettes because I was like chain smoking outside talking to him, but I pretended he was talking about alcohol. I'm not saying I was drinking alcoholically at the time per se, but apparently instead of taking 12 steps up, I would have preferred falling down a flight of stairs. People would be like, do you drink? And I'm like, just antisocially. So in addition to not being able to drive, I could only travel to meetings, work, and church. So meetings. But I found out that I could go to recovery conventions. And before this, the biggest meeting I had been to was like 13 people maybe, and now here I was surrounded by like 13,000 people in recovery. It was awesome. There was marathon meetings, there was a recovery dance, recovery comedy show, and so, you know, it's going really well. At the end of the night, I go out and celebrate. So I'm hanging out at the Slippery Tortoise Pub or whatever it's called, and someone's like, so what brings you here to Ocean City? And I'm like, I'm here for a recovery convention. They're like, whoa! And I'm like, I had a crack problem, not a booze problem. And where'd everybody go? So I'm always good at being the last to leave, so here I am at the bar, trying to fill that void, and I see this smoking hot filly from Philly. Excuse all the puns. But I get her number, and the next night, at the end of the convention, I give her a call. She invited me over, a couple liquor drinks going around, someone lights up a joint, and I'm thinking to myself, you got a crack problem. You got a crack problem, not a pot problem. I take 2 pulls off this joint before I realized it's laced with cocaine. Fuck, no! Felt like someone was just shivving me in the third eye. I'm like, there's no way I can go through this again. I will not survive 4 more seasons of celebrity rehab. But, you know, I got to my 5th year, and I decided once and for all to let go and find the power to sustain my sobriety. And when I did get to my 5th year of picking up chips every year, those first 2 years, those slippery years, started to eat at me. You know, I didn't feel like I could be honest at the time while I was on probation. So this is my 4-year medallion. or my medical alert necklace, because if I'm not wearing it, it's probably in a pawn shop and I'm probably in the morgue. So I've been wearing this 4-year medallion for 4 years. The first 2 years with my head up my ego, and for the past 2 years with my head up high, but not too high. My name's Ty, and this is my brave.
Hi, my name is Nicole Smith, and I'm so excited to be a part of This Is My Brave's Hampton Roads show. I am presenting a written piece sharing my mental health story. I was told once that our lives are made up of defining moments that often change our lives. And I'd love to share with you today a pivotal moment in my life that not only changed my life, but it was the moment that saved my life. I remember the day just like it were yesterday. It was a hot summer day in August of 2015, a Sunday afternoon to be exact. And I was in Dallas with some girlfriends for what was supposed to be a fun-filled girls' weekend. Instead, I found myself laying in a sterile hospital bed covered in its crisp white sheets, feeling as though I were dying. As I listened to the machines beep an alarm around me as they monitored my vital signs, I remember thinking to myself, how the hell did I get here? And then it all crept back in. You're such a prima donna. Wipe your face. No one wants to see sad. Everybody just likes to see happy. You're so sensitive. Stop overreacting. Why are you crying? Not every conversation requires tears. Suck it up. Grow a backbone. You wouldn't want to be seen as a weak leader, would you? In that moment, I had never felt so scared and so alone. The doctor walked in and sat on the edge of my bed and started taking some notes in a clipboard. Then he said, "The way that this will be documented is that you've suffered from a major anxiety attack." But then he turned and looked at me, and he gently placed his hand on the shin of my leg and said, "My dear, what you really suffered from is that of a broken heart." And all of the emotion and all of the pain that I had ever tried to suppress finally began to roll down my face, because for the first time, someone saw the mask that I so bravely wore. Someone saw through the lies. Someone saw through it all. Up to that day, I was becoming dangerously close to becoming part of a growing statistic. One maybe you're aware of, and one maybe you're not. But every day we lose 22 soldiers to suicide. And at that point, I had been serving on active duty with the U.S. Coast Guard for 15 years. We're the smallest of the 5 branches. And just to give you an idea of how small, we're smaller than the NYPD as a whole. And since I had joined in 1999, there had been 162 documented suicides. 11 happened just last year. And I knew 6 of them personally. As I laid in that hospital bed, not only was I on the verge of becoming a part of a growing statistic, I was also following a path of family history. My mom's mom suicided when she was 6. My dad's dad when he was 2. And not only that, but drug use and alcoholism run in my family. So laying there that day, I knew I was just following this path and that something had to change. When I was finally released and sent home, I went home with a vigor that was burning inside me that I had never felt before. You see, I have 3 beautiful, amazing boys who need me every day, and they didn't deserve to ever have to tell a story of why their mom was no longer with them. So I chose life. I chose to stand and start telling my story because I know I am not the only one. And knowing that I need to change, I began to search for help and I stumbled across life coaching. I had sought out help before. It looked a little something like this. I think I'm depressed. Aren't we all? Nicole, you have PTSD. Well, that can't be right. That's not possible. I've never been to war. But regardless of that help, it just wasn't what I needed. Now, don't get me wrong. There is help and support out there that does work for people. It just wasn't working for me. They didn't see me. That doctor saw me. And when I began to work with my coach saw me. And I began to change. I felt a shift. I felt a power in finally sharing my story. And the irony of it all was that in that hospital bed that day, feeling so lost, so alone, and so ashamed of who I was, now today, sharing my story, something that I had hid for so long, is the same damn thing that is connecting me to each and every one of you watching today. It's the same thing that I had my shipmates coming to me and saying, I suffered too. So now here I am creating my own movement, creating a community for women who also serve in the military so they have a place that they feel safe, that is judgment free to come and share their own stories and know that they are supported, loved, and it's okay. I get to work one-on-one with clients each and every day and help them shape their lives and allow them to know that they can still serve with purpose, pride, and peace of mind and on their own terms. And if that looks like separating and leaving the military, then so be it. But now they do that on their own power and under their own conviction, confident in the decision that it's what they need. Speaking of decision, finally finding the strength in sharing my story, others began to come to me and say, I have a story too. And an idea just began to blossom, and I decided to write a book. We're currently in publishing and in the final stages and launching very soon. The book is called The Decision to Heal, Pathways from Suffering to Love. And it's not only my story and my journey, but a collaboration of 5 others who also found strength in sharing their stories. Because when we come together, we really do begin to break down the stigma, and we allow others to know that they are not alone. Not only they are not alone, but they trust in the knowing that it's okay to not always be okay. So I ask you to join me in this movement, a movement and a mission to break down the barriers around mental health and suicide in the military. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Nicole Smith, and this has been My Brave.
Hey everyone, my name's Ames Hart, and I am a part of the This Is My Brave Hampton Roads 2020 show. And I'm so excited to share with you a part of my story through my poetry. There was a time in my life when I did not want to be alive. The circumstances surrounding my life were horrible. I did not want to be a burden to the people around me anymore, and the pressure that was coming from every side of my life was just too much to deal with. In that place, it felt like I was trying to move forward and kept getting pushed back every time. It just became too much. And in that too much, it felt something like this. I don't want to be here. I mean, anywhere. I don't want to see or be seen. What I see, it's wrong. It's mistaken. When I'm seen, I'm wrong. I'm mistaken. I don't want to be here. In any place. I don't want to hear or be heard. What I hear, it's false. It's misunderstood. When I'm heard, I'm false. I'm misunderstood. I don't want to be here in this hole. And I can't explain it anymore. And why try? I say it wrong. Can't clarify. There just aren't words. So I'm wrong. Misunderstood. left to dig myself out when I have no more strength. After being in that horrible headspace and even acting on those thoughts, I got some care and support. And in that, I started hoping there could be hope. And that began a search. And that search was, and sometimes now still is, messy. And that's okay. Sometimes the search goes forward. Sometimes it pushes me back. Sometimes it goes back and forth. And it's all okay because it's movement in that search for hope. In the middle of that search, it sometimes feels like this. Where is this place? You know it, or maybe you don't. It's that place where you feel alone, but not lonely, where you feel peace when no one else is there. People talk about it like it's easy to find. Where is this place? Where you can sit with just you and be okay with who you are, where you are, who you have, what is yours. I have searched for this place. All I find is a place called lonely. Where is this place? Someone please tell me how you've come to this place. To be in your own space and feel okay, even when it seems no one cares where you are, that you exist, how you feel, why you feel, or if you feel. Please, someone tell me where to find this space. Sometimes it seems like forever until that search brings about some hopeful results. As time passed in this journey of finding hope, glimmers and glimpses and rays of hope started coming through the storm that I was in. And the more I walked toward or into those rays of hope, the more hope I found, and the clearer the pathway got to more and more hope. Until it got me to a place where I'm now the one that people come to find their hope and their help. Now, as a woman who trains others how to prevent suicide, and as a life coach who helps others find more hope and healing, that hope feels something like this. Today is not the day my mind overruns my life. Today is not the day the determination slides from my soul. Today is not the day I hide from needed accomplishment. Today is not the day my knees hit the dirt for good. Today is not the day music can't flow through my veins. Today is not the day that words get lost in the wind. Today is the day my mind chooses peace. Today is the day my soul finds new motivation. Today is the day new heights are reached. Today is the day I leap toward a new goal. Today is the day music flows fresh through me. And today is the day words take flight to bring hope. Today is the day hope enters my story. Today can be the day that hope enters your story. I'm Ames Hart, and this is My Brave.
I can't thank you enough for being a part of this show this evening. Our brave Hampton Roads cast was able to shine a light on topics we don't talk enough about. We want to take a moment to ask you, the audience, to be brave with us. Put in the comment section below if you live or have experienced a mental health condition, or if you know someone who has. because we're all affected by mental illness. By being here today, you've joined a movement of people who are willing to be more open and supportive about mental illness and addiction. We hope that you will use this experience as a way to start brave conversations in your own circles and keep them going. That is what it means to live brave. If you're moved by what you witnessed during this show, we'd love for you to make a contribution at This Is My Brave to keep this movement going. They're doing vital, important work. All you have to do is look at the link in our comment section or click the donate button, or go to our website, thisismybrave.org, and click donate there. Again, thank you for your love and support, and thank you for bringing our brave into your homes.
I thought there was no way out. Yeah, I used to be scared of the light, and I was swallowed by doubt. I'd forgotten what freedom was like. Puzzle pieces on the floor, they don't fit in anymore. I'm changing. When they